There was a time when I believed that if I could make around $500 a day from trading, my life would turn in a completely different direction. A laptop, a few lines drawn on a chart, well-timed exits, and I would finally reach something called freedom. And then, I actually did. I made money from the market. There were weeks when everything flowed smoothly, months when my profits were higher than the salary of the person who once managed me. But strangely, I didn't feel happy. No one ever told me this. Making money can be easier than you think. Living a meaningful life is not. I sat alone in a small room, phone still in my hand, eyes locked onto the chart. It was close to midnight, but I wouldn't let myself look away. I was afraid the market would suddenly reverse. I was afraid of missing an opportunity. I was afraid of the feeling that I was losing control. While others slept peacefully, I held my positions. While friends met up on weekends, I stayed in front of trading chats. And when family called to check in, I replied briefly, then returned to the chart with that familiar sense of unease. I thought I was searching for freedom, but in reality, I had only replaced one pair of handcuffs with a green and red chart, an invisible cage, one I built myself and willingly stepped into. There was a time I won a trade of more than 250 pips. The money was more than an entire month of my old salary. I turned off the screen, ready to stand up and celebrate. Then I realized there was no one to call. I had gradually cut off and then completely severed many relationships just to focus on trading. And there I sat, alone in the middle of the night, with a few $100s in profit and an empty mind. Trading made me money, that is true. But I didn't make this video to talk about numbers. I made it to tell you about the part that few people ever talk about. The part that trading can take away if you don't wake up in time. If you're at the very beginning, or if you're already halfway down the road with a few winning trades and a few blown accounts, I want to tell you a real story, a journey I have personally lived through, with money, with emotions, with awareness, and with things I lost. A journey where, in the end, I realized this: trading only helped me create money, but everything outside of trading is what truly made me rich. Trading gave me money, that part is true, and I'm grateful for it. But before all of that, I was someone who worked in a kitchen, literally. A white hat, a knife in my hand, working more than 10 hours a day in a kitchen hot enough to suffocate. I started from zero, picking up knives, chopping onions, taking out trash, cleaning the kitchen, climbing one step at a time until I became a head chef, coordinating an entire kitchen team, holding everything together during peak hours, used to skipping meals, skipping rest, and never being allowed to make mistakes. During those years in the kitchen, I stumbled upon trading by accident. At first, I saw it as something strange, almost like a game. Green and red charts flashing, numbers changing every second. I was curious. I tried. I lost. I blew a few small accounts. At that time, I understood nothing about risk management. No clear method, no plan beyond pure intuition. I traded during breaks between shifts. I traded while waiting for dishes to finish cooking. I traded more on gut feeling than on knowledge. After a few consecutive losses, I quit. I went back to the kitchen. Same knives, same cutting boards, the same hot water and familiar smell of oil and grease. I brushed trading aside like a passing rain, telling myself that maybe it just wasn't for me. Years later, I saved up enough capital to open a small restaurant. I became the owner, but also the one standing in the kitchen, the boss, the chef, the waiter, the bookkeeper. I survived on stubbornness, but slowly, I began to feel exhausted. On slow days, I sat there watching the clock move painfully slow. On busy days, I barely had time to breathe. And every night after locking the doors and turning off the lights, I stayed behind alone in the kitchen, with an emptiness I couldn't explain. It was during that period that trading came back into my life. Not through promises, not through a course or an attractive offer, but through a very quiet question that surfaced in my mind. If those charts were still there, could I look at them again as a different person with a different state of mind? I reopened Resol's account. This time, I was no longer a curious cook. I was someone who had run a business, someone who had struggled, someone who had calculated every dollar of raw materials, someone who had lived inside the real grind of making a living. I started learning again from the beginning. No rush, no excitement, just quiet observation, quiet experiments, quietly sensing the market as a flow, no longer treating it as a competition of wins and losses. But I still blew accounts. I still lost, just like before. This time, even though I was more careful, the market still felt like a wild animal, not easy to tame. I fell back into confusion, and I asked myself, was I truly not cut out for this? And then I met someone. Not an internet expert, not a course seller, but the person I've mentioned in previous videos, the one I call my teacher. He didn't teach me how to win. He taught me how not to lose. He taught me to see the market as a psychological flow, how to observe fear and greed, how to stay out when the market turns irrational, and how to enter only when everyone else has completely lost their direction.
I began to understand more, not because the market had changed, but because the way I looked at it had. Through him, I learned patience. I learned how to wait. I learned how to exit while there was still room, not when everything was already too late. I learned to observe the market the same way I once watched a kitchen in full operation. No rushing, no arrogance, always prepared before the fire grows too strong. I started making money. $100, $300, $500. Not much, but consistent. Not impressive, but real. I thought I had found my way again. I believed that finally I had learned how to control a financial world full of volatility. But then, I started slipping again. I stared at the charts every day. I talked less and less with my family. I slowly abandoned old habits, reading, playing music, writing. I stopped having dinner with the person I loved. I forgot the original reason I came back in the first place, not to become a slave to a tool that was supposed to bring freedom. Trading gave me money, but it also demanded a price. Some days I won and still felt empty. Some days I lost only a few dollars and couldn't sleep all night. Some weeks the profits were steady, yet there was no one left to share them with. And then, one late night, I sat down between two yellow candles, and I asked myself, was I locking myself inside a new kind of prison, more sophisticated, quieter, and lonelier? I didn't blame the market. I blamed myself for forgetting what truly mattered. Money cannot save someone who has lost himself, and trading, no matter how profitable, cannot fill the emptiness of a neglected soul. I began to ask a question. If tomorrow I no longer opened the charts, would I still know how to live? It sounded like a foolish question, but it kept coming back. While I was in a trade, while I was losing, while I stayed out of the market, while riding home at the end of the day, that question echoed in my mind like a deep call from within. A part of me had been asleep for a very long time, and now it was waking up. I looked back at the things I had missed. Family dinners I skipped because I was holding a position. Coffee meetups with friends I declined because I was waiting for candle confirmation. Messages I never replied to. Apologies no one wanted to hear anymore. I made money, but slowly lost connection with the human part of myself. Then I did something very small. One Monday morning, I turned off the charts. Not because I lost, not because I won, but simply because I wanted to try living again. One day without the market, I rolled my bike out of the house, passed through old streets I had forgotten for a long time. I stopped for breakfast for the first time in months. I smiled at the old woman selling bread. I sat in a cafe, read a single page of a book without opening my phone, and I could hear my own breathing, clearly, as if I had returned to myself. I began writing again, not a trading journal, but a life journal. I wrote about things that never appear on a chart: emotions, exhaustion, small joys, regrets I had never named. And then I realized something. Trading is not my life. It is only a part of it. I began setting a time to shut the screen off, the way a chef knows when to rest, even when orders keep coming in. I planned my trades not to force profits, but to know when to stay out and allow my mind to rest. I learned how to stand on the sidelines, no longer afraid of missing opportunities, because I finally understood this. Opportunities can come back, but peace is not easy to recover once you've lost it. I returned to music. I slowly started exercising again, step by step. I opened myself up to people I had unintentionally pushed away before. I learned how to be grateful, not only when there were profits, but even when I didn't trade and still felt life was complete. My teacher once said, trading was never the problem. The problem has always been the mindset of the person who steps into it. Back then I heard it. Now I understand it deeply. I still trade. I still observe the market. I still analyze, enter, and exit positions. But I'm no longer attached. I no longer measure my self-worth by a chart. I can take a small loss and still sleep well. I can stay out of the market for an entire week and still feel my days have meaning. I no longer see myself as a trader, nor as a restaurant owner. I'm just a person who is living, day by day, and truly present in my own life. I'm not sharing this to say that I have reached enlightenment. No, I'm still learning how to live, step by step, day by day. But if someone like me, who has blown accounts, who has been lonely, who has sat crying in a restaurant kitchen after customers canceled every order, can stand back up, then I believe anyone can find themselves again. I started writing again, not a trading journal, but the journal of someone who once ran too fast and is now learning how to slow down. Every morning I write a short piece, not long, but enough to remind myself that I'm still alive. I write the way people meditate, sometimes just a single line. Today, my heart feels calmer than yesterday. Some passages, when I read them back, feel strangely beautiful. A little prose, a little poetry, something deeper than technical analysis and price patterns. And then it hit me. I never lost the ability to write. I only traded it away for a flickering screen over the past 2 years. I took a photo of one passage and sent it to my teacher. For the first time in a long while, I didn't say much. I just wrote, "I'm trying to slow down. I managed to write a few lines today. What do you think?" He didn't reply right away, not until the next morning when I was sitting alone drinking coffee at a familiar cafe. He called back. His voice was slow and concise. "Monday morning, 6 o'clock. Bring a fishing rod to the old seawall. Don't bring your phone." I stayed silent for a second. Monday, right at market open, prime time to trade. Weekend news, breakouts, gap plays. I was about to ask again, but I stopped because I understood. It wasn't an invitation. It was a lesson, a reset. Monday morning, I arrived at the seawall while the air was still misty. My teacher was already there, fishing rods set up, water flowing steadily. No phone, no charts, no signals. He handed me a folding chair and said just one sentence.
The most important order that morning was the order to live properly. We sat still for nearly 30 minutes. No one said a word. Only the sound of wind passing by and the water gently rippling. I began to loosen up. I began to breathe. For the first time in months, I didn't think about charts as the sun rose. For the first time, I felt a kind of freedom that I used to believe only came after an account reached $1,000, then $10,000, then $100,000. But it wasn't that. True freedom is being able to put your phone down at the very moment the market is most active and still feel calm inside. My teacher turned to me and smiled softly. You can still write. Then keep writing. Not for anyone else to read, but so you don't forget that you once had a very real soul. That sentence felt like an exit order for my own life, an exit from expectations, from invisible pressures I had tied myself to for so long. That day, I went home and placed no trades. I simply opened my laptop and wrote for a long time. No technical analysis, no breakdown of market psychology, just writing about the feeling of sitting next to my teacher, writing about the wind, writing about the water, writing about the moment of waking up. From that day on, I continued trading. There were still intense sessions, there were still losses, but I was no longer afraid, no longer in a rush. And every Monday morning, no matter how busy the market was, I set aside at least 30 minutes to write, to preserve the human part of myself, to remember that I once almost lost everything simply because I believed that winning fast, winning big, was what success looked like. If you're somewhere right now, in the middle of the market, in the middle of confusion, in the middle of numbers, in that place where you don't know whether to continue or stop, try turning off the screen and writing. Write for yourself, just one line. You might be surprised to find that what you've been searching for in trading comes from a completely different place, from inside you. I began opening myself to the world in a different way. I talked to more people. I stopped hiding behind charts. I reconnected with old friends. I met again with family members I had once neglected. I attended a few small workshops, nothing related to trading, about writing, about minimal living, about creativity, about psychology. I returned to an old passion, writing. I began writing more consistently, not just for myself, but for others as well. Some people read, some responded. Not many, but enough to remind me that I still had something worth sharing. Not beautiful trades, but the way I survived my worst days. And then, something strange happened. When I focused less on trading, my profits actually increased. No, I didn't start taking more trades. I stopped keeping the screen on all day. I only trade when all conditions truly come together, when my mind is calm, when I don't need to win, when I'm not afraid to lose. I no longer feel the pressure to make money every single day. Instead, I only sit down when the market genuinely has a story worth listening to. And that alone completely changed my results. My win rate went up. The number of trades went down. Profits were no longer wild, uneven waves, but steady, consistent rhythms. I realized something very clearly. When I stopped demanding that the market sustain my life, the market began to sustain me. I trade with a different attitude now, like someone entering the forest, not hunting, but moving in harmony. I don't always return with trophies, but I never come back empty-handed, because every time I enter the forest, I breathe with nature and understand myself a little more. I trade the same way I once cooked a proper meal. Enough heat, enough time, enough patience. And then the result always comes at the right moment. People often ask me, how do you trade better? I no longer answer with techniques.
I no longer talk about patterns or indicators. I only ask them one question. Is your life outside of trading actually being lived? Because sometimes what causes your losses is not on the chart. It lies in the fact that you've traded away the rest of your life just to stare at a soulless number. I was that person, and I wish someone had told me this earlier. When your life becomes fuller, trading stops being a burden. It becomes something lighter, yet still rewarding. If I could go back in time, I wouldn't tell myself how to trade. I wouldn't tell myself to learn strategy A, model B, or indicator C. I would say only one thing. Don't let trading become everything. I wish I had understood that sooner. I wish that from the very first day I entered the market, I knew that profits don't come from staring at charts all day. They come from knowing when to live and when to stay out. I wish I had known that you don't need to get rich fast to feel whole. You don't need a winning trade to feel valuable. You don't need to hold positions all night to prove your strength. And I wish someone had shown me this. The emptiest moments in the market are often when you've already lost yourself in real life. I once thought I was strong, but in truth, I was just stubborn. So stubborn that I didn't realize I was cracking. I lived on adrenaline and slowly faded in silence. I wish I had learned earlier that an account needs to be managed, but emotions must be regulated first. Strategies can be optimized, but if your mind is still filled with anxiety, paranoia, obsession, then no matter how powerful the method, you will still lose. I wish someone had told me this. Use trading to live. Don't trade away your life just to trade. Let your life be full, with family, with friends, with a good meal, with an evening walk without checking charts. Have somewhere to return to for the moments when the market turns its back on you. Because that's what trading is. It doesn't love anyone forever.
But if you learn how to love yourself the right way, trading will never be able to take everything from you. I also wish I had understood this sooner. Losing is not what's scary. Feeling nothing when you win, that's what's truly frightening. I once made big profits and felt empty inside. I once hit my monthly targets, yet had no idea what to do with that joy, because I had forgotten how to live. So if today you're listening to me, and you've also been through losses, sleepless nights, days where you stare at the chart like it's an enemy, I just want to tell you one thing. It's not too late. All it takes is for you to stop and ask yourself once, seriously, what am I living for? If trading helps you live better, keep going. But if it's taking everything away, take a step back, just one step. You'll see there's still an entire world behind the screen. Trading is not the goal, it's just a tool. A tool that allows you to live freely the life you want, not a beautiful cage to lock your soul inside. I wish I had understood that earlier. But I don't blame myself. Some lessons have to hurt enough to be remembered. And if today I could speak to my younger self, I would just smile, pat him on the shoulder, and say, "It's okay. You're going to lose many things, but in the end, you'll find yourself again. I know it." Maybe right now, you're somewhere just like where I once was, sitting alone in front of the screen, hands shaking as you press buy or sell, eyes red from staying up all night, yet still forcing yourself on, believing you have to win, you have to recover. I was there once. I lived that life, and I once believed that profit alone was enough, but it wasn't. What I lacked was never money. What I lacked was myself. Trading, when done right, can be a powerful tool, but when done wrong,
it doesn't just take your money, it takes your life. If today, what I've shared makes you feel something shifting inside, a slowing down, a quiet resonance, a brief moment of clarity, then perhaps this is the moment you should stop. Not to quit, but to look back, to reflect, and then continue as a different version of yourself. This channel was not created to teach you how to become a millionaire trader. I only want you to hear how I once failed and how I learned to live again from those very moments of collapse. If you want to walk this path with me for the long term, consider subscribing to the channel. Not for the algorithm, not for the numbers, but because I will continue to tell the stories that charts will never tell. And if you're still trading or thinking about starting, and you're looking for a place that feels transparent, with clear deposits and withdrawals and flexible leverage, there's no rush. Only when you feel ready, you can find the link in the description below the video. But more importantly, there's one thing I hope you remember. You don't need to trade away everything just to beat the market. Sometimes, beating yourself is already enough. And if you're moving forward, slow down just a little, because you're not walking only to make money. You're also walking to find again someone called yourself. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. Thank you for giving your time, something truly priceless in this age, to sit here with me, with this story. I'm not the best trader. I'm not the most successful trader, but I try every time to tell what is most real, most alive from my own journey, full of falls and moments of awakening. Every view, every comment, every subscription, to me, each one feels like a quiet tap on the shoulder, and I appreciate all of it. This channel exists because of you, and if possible, I hope we can continue this journey together, not only to trade better, but to live deeper.